السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى فبرأه الله مما قالوا وكان عند الله وجيها. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khair, Gibran. This is Hafiz Gibran from Michigan Islamic Institute. He's memorized the Quran, and he's in his third year of alim course, going to his fourth year. Inshallah, in a few years he'll be an alim. And he originally was from Dallas, originally from Florida, then moved to Dallas, and his family moved over to Michigan. So Gibran, Jazakallah khair. I have a hard time praising my own students, but Jazakallah khair for the beautiful recitation. He's also doing Taraweeh, so he's going to get ready for Taraweeh and go, inshallah. Inshallah, we'll see him again. Bajan, you're here?
I'm here. That's me. That's me.
Man, you look blue today.
Oh, yeah. Michigan. You know, represent.
Say salam to everybody, Bajan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. How's everything? How's everyone doing? Mufti Sab, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. Someone saying salam from earth.
Welcome. The people of the earth are greeting the people of the heavens. Is that what's going on? MashaAllah. Mufti Sab, I hope you're doing well. Welcome. Let's welcome everyone for joining us. You have been with us. If you're here, if you've been watching us from the beginning, those who have been following up with the series, if you can respond by saying yes, we've been keeping up with all the video series reflections from the beginning. If you're still a few days behind, a few ajza behind, no worries. But if you're trying to keep up, then you will be able to keep up with our discussion, because some of the stuff we already discussed. You will also be able to keep up with our glossary of vocabulary that we've been using, right, Mufti Sahib? The heavy type of words. We will also be keeping up with some of the jokes that we have been saying. We're not going to repeat them. So if you have listened to the last series, we're going to continue knowledge-wise, depth-wise. I'm the surfer, Mufti Sahib's a diver, you know. And so we're going to keep up from that, inshallah. Mufti Sahib, we have reached, we did Maryam yesterday, which what you expressed, that was one of your favorite surahs. And I have to say, Maryam is one of my favorite surahs also. Can you hear me properly, Mufti Sahib?
Yeah, I can hear you properly, yes.
Okay. Do you sense excitement in my voice?
It looks like you just ate a lot. You were hungry, right?
No, I was fasting, but I wasn't it's routine, you know. Been doing this for at least 2 weeks now, so I'm used to it. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, I see excitement.
Really irritating. Like when you're really hungry, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this. Like when you're really hungry, you fasted all day, and now you're gonna break your fast and after like 5 bites you're full. Right? Yeah. Isn't that frustrating sometimes? And there's so much food remaining. And that's when I think about paradise. Get me to paradise we're gonna eat, never get full, and then we'll never have to digest that food, and it will come out like like musk in Jannah. So that's yeah, but alhamdulillah, we're fine. Alhamdulillah. If I could lose some weight in Ramadan, that would be a blessing also.
Bajan, I just want to again, I want to apologize on your behalf, Bajan, to the viewers and the listeners. The intention behind these reflections was to keep it as raw and as real as possible. So, for example, if my brother Bajan was sitting with me in a room and we're talking about Quran, we'll have a good time. He'll make me laugh, but we'll also go in depth about certain ayahs. And so sometimes some of the viewers, if you find that some of you, if you find that, oh, we need to be more serious, then forgive my brother. He can be more serious. That's him.
Why are you apologizing? I just apologize.
Yeah.
Stop. Your voice is echoing. Yeah. Your voice is echoing. Can you? Yeah. Stop echoing. There was a lot of echo there. There was a lot of excitement in that voice. Can you speak again?
How about now?
That's better.
Is it?
Perfect.
Perfect? Whatever you say. So I just wanted to put that out there ahead of time. So because we had a comment yesterday about my brother joking too much.
Just my hat, my everything.
They all love your we all love your blue. They all love your blue vibe today. Your cap, your vest, and your cup.
I'm telling you, man. I just wear whatever my wife offers me. Sometimes they give me something to wear. I have nothing to wear. Just whatever's there.
Whatever they give you.
Let's go. You have apologized extremely to the crowd. We're not here to appease people, are we? We're just here to do what we have to do and ask Allah to accept. Mufti, we did not speak about Surah Taha because we got carried away with Surah Maryam and the reflections. Do you want to say something about Taha before we go ahead? Anbiya and then Surah Hajj. We're going to go for Hajj today, guys.
So, Bajan, Surah Taha we never spoke about in detail. We mentioned a few things about Taha as far as the isolation of Musa alayhi salam. We mentioned that it happened in the theme that connected with Surah Maryam and Surah Al-Isra, also known as Surah Bani Israel. So today we're doing the 17th juz of the Quran. The 17th juz of the Quran has two different surahs, Surah Al-Anbiya, and it also has Surah Al-Hajj. And I, again, just reading the whole juz, one theme, it comes out to me, like it appears to me as like this is the theme of this juz, and we have to discuss this theme. I mean, of course, if you look at a surface level, you can't tell, but of course, since you called me a scuba diver, right? So we had to go in depth about some things, and you can find this theme over here. So let's just get right into Surah Al-Anbiya. The connection of Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Al-Taha is very evident. Taha is one of the names of the Prophet ﷺ, and Anbiya comes right after Surah Taha. There's 17 prophets mentioned in Surah Al-Anbiya. Because Allah is trying to drive a point home right now to the people of Makkah.
17 prophets are mentioned.
17 prophets are mentioned in 3-4 pages over here. 6 of them are mentioned in detail, but otherwise names are mentioned of 17 prophets. And basically, at the end, the culmination of all this, Allah says, the end of all of this, Allah says, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِنَ الصَّالِحَاتِ وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ فَلَا كُفْرَانَ لِسَعْيِهِ وَإِنَّا لَهُ كَاتِبُونَ. All these prophets were sent, alayhi salam, to convey a message that anyone who does any good deeds and he's a believer or she's a believer, then their a'mal will be much appreciated and they'll be rewarded plentiful. وَإِنَّا لَهُ كَاتِبُونَ, and we indeed are the ones who are writing all these good deeds. So this is basically the theme of Surah Taha when it comes to Surah Al-Anbiya. And one ayah that connects Surah Taha with Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Al-Hajj, which is important, we'll talk about towards the end. But the theme that is in Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Al-Hajj, which is there, is the first ayah, اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. And then Surah Al-Hajj starts in the same. How does Surah Al-Hajj start, Bajan?
Surah Al-Hajj is a very interesting way. It also starts, they both have a reminder of the next life, Qiyamah. Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nasu ttaqu rabbakum. O you people, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fear your Lord, be conscious of your Lord. Inna zalzalat as-sa'ati shay'un azim. Verily, the earthquake, the shaking of the hour, is something very severe. The shaking of the hour. Inna zalzalat as-sa'a. So mudaf mudaf ilayh. The shaking of the hour. Shay'un azim. It's going to be something very big and massive. And then Allah speaks about what's happening. But there is this Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Hajj both start off with this reminder of the next world. But then you said something about lahiyatan qulubuhum.
Yeah, so basically both these surahs, the theme of both of these surahs is very, very important for us, and I think is one of the most important things to keep in our mind that we can take from today's reflections. And that is the word hisab, accountability, right? Allah is telling everyone, اقترب للناس حسابهم. It is very near. The accountability of a human being is very, very near. You will stand, the time that you have from now to stand in front of Allah is not too long from now. Like you will have to stand in front of Allah. And in Surah Al-Hajj, the same thing is mentioned. And this beautiful thing, Surah Al-Hajj is called Surah Al-Hajj because Allah is commanded on the words of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the obligation of Hajj. And one of the wisdoms of Hajj is to connect us with Akhirah. We're too close, right? We're in the middle of Muzdalifah. One of the wisdoms of Hajj is to get away from all the luxuries and remind ourselves of the day when we're standing in Arafah in this world, that we'll be standing in front of Allah on the day of judgment. So these two stories tie in together perfectly about this topic of just self-accountability, self-awareness, right? And this is an important topic. Umar ibn Khattab, he says, "Zinu anfusakum qabla an tuzanu, wa hasibuha qabla an tuhasabu." He says, why don't you weigh your own good and bad deeds before a day comes where Allah will weigh it for you. So at the end of the night, when you're sleeping at night, just do the math yourself. Okay, this is nothing wrong. This is Umar ibn Khattab's advice to us, because it will make us better. That here's the good deeds I did for today, and here's some bad deeds. For the good deeds, I'm grateful. For the bad deeds, I'm regretful. And like this, you're scaling yourself in this world. And then he says, وَحَاسِبُوهَا قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. And take your own account before you will be accounted for on the day of judgment, right? It comes another hadith. Muhammad bin Ka'b al-Qadhi, he says, it's a statement actually. He says, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرًا جَعَلَ فِيهِ ثَلَاثَ خِصَالٍ. When Allah wants something good from somebody, like there's khayr, this person's a good person, Allah gives that person three qualities: fiqhan fi din, understanding of deen; wa zahadatan fi dunya, abstinence from the luxuries of this dunya; wa basran bi uyubihi, and accountability over their own mistakes, over their own self. Right now, this is the theme of this surah. Is how Allama Iqbal, he says, "Apne man mein doob kar paaja suragh zindagi, tu agar mera nahi banta na ban apna to ban."
Wah, wah.
Apne man mein doob kar paaja suragh zindagi. He says, take a dive into yourself and do your own accountability. Like, what's interesting, Bajan? People before us, we've seen in the books, they literally, like, how I mentioned this today. I was doing a talk for an organization in Philadelphia, and it came to my mind that you read in the previous books of the past, there are people who literally structure their answers in front of Allah on the day of judgment. Like a person who is going for an interview for a job, for med school, for any big job. Like, they're in the back of their head, they're like, okay, if this guy asks me this, I'm gonna say this. If he asks me this, you're preparing your resume, you're preparing everything. Like this, they would prepare certain deeds that they will present in front of Allah. And if Allah asks, "Oh Abdul Rahman, or Aisha, or oh Maryam, what did you do for me?" Like they have this answer structured in their mind already. Because one thing, maybe two things. And when Zubaydah was asked, what are you going to, before she passed away, when Allah asked you, "What did you do for me?" Zubaydah said, what? I have a whole life, but I'm just going to present one good deed, and that is I dug the well for those who go for Hajj and give them water. I'm going to say, "Oh Allah, I did this for you," right? So this type of mentality, having this while we're living, because
sorry, I'll finish the story, but I want to tell you something about Zubaydah. Let's extend the story.
Go ahead.
So Zubaydah dug the Nahr al-Zubaydah, the river of Zubaydah, right? And she was Harun Rashid's wife, correct? She did great work. But what I found interesting, that when I read something about Zubaydah, she was a very righteous woman. Our mom talks about her all the time. Our mother talks about her all the time. So when she passed away, someone saw her in her dream. Said, "Zubaydah, how did it go in Akhirah?" She said, "Oh, it was trouble. Like we went through it, because we're talking about Akhirah." He's like, "It was rough in the sense that Allah SWT made me stand in front of Him, and He, ما من أحد سيكلم ربه ليس بينه وبينه ترجمان." The hadith of everyone will stand in front of Allah SWT. There will be no interpreter. فينظر أيمن فلا يرى إلا ما قدم وينظر أشأم فلا يرى إلا ما قدم وينظر ومن بين يديه فلا يرى إلا النار تلقاء وجهه. You will look, she will look right, they will look right, and they will see only the deeds. And they look left, they will see the bad deeds. And they will look forward, and they will see Jahannam blazing. So this, and he's presented in front of, she's presented in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we know this has happened with other people, like Jabir's father, Abdullah, right? Jabir bin Abdullah's father, who died in Uhud. Prophet ﷺ said to Jabir, do you know ماذا فعل الله بأبيك? Beautiful hadith, authentic hadith. Do you know what Allah did with your father after he died in Uhud? So Jabir says, I don't know. He said, إن الله سبحانه وتعالى كلم أباك كفاحا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed all the veil between him and your father, and he spoke to him. And he said, Tamanna, ya Abdullah, make a wish. Make it, say something. So Abdullah says, my dream is an أعود إلى الدنيا أقتل فيك مرة أخرى. I want to come back to this world, and I want to sacrifice my life for you once more. I want to do this again. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Abdullah, Jabir's father, that كتبته على نفسي. Once I've made this decision that there's no going back after death, make another, dream, ask for something else. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'm telling you, oh Abdullah, I'm pleased with you forever, for eternity, when you go to paradise. Same with Zubaydah. I want to say something very interesting, but it's a narration of stories.
Yeah.
So when she died, she was literally banking on that Nahr Zubaydah that you're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
She was banking on that. I'm going to present this in front of Allah.
She was banking on that. I mean, I think we should have something that we bank on.
Yes, of course.
Right? And then when she passed away, some close relatives of her saw her. And that happens a lot. I know a lot of people whose relatives passed away and they come in their dreams, and inshallah, they come in the best form. I remember seeing my grandmother in my dream. Did I tell you about that?
We were together at that one time. Remember?
I was in Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Yes.
And she came to my dream after she passed away, and she said that keep on phal beshtara in Punjabi which galker, Punjabi which. I don't know Punjabi that well, I just know how to say two good words, munda or kuri, munda and kuri. I don't even know what they mean, but munda kuri, kuri munda. But anyways,
you got to keep it to French. You're good at French. You're good at English, Arabic. Urdu is Torah. Punjabi is like, it's off the rail, man.
I know Punjabi, and also I know like the other side of Punjab, the gangster Punjabi which gal karsa.
Oh, the Hinko style.
Hinko style,
Oh, this is good. Okay.
Don't you test my language skills. Like, not skills. Don't you test my language skills. Okay.
Okay.
I see her in my dream, and she's saying that Abdullah, keep on sending those fruits. Just keep on sending those fruits, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't understand what that meant. Keep on sending those gifts. And she said, those gifts with fruit basket. And then I asked our mom when I woke up. My mom said, out of all the children of your grandmother, you five, because we're five brothers, are all hafiz, alhamdulillah. Our parents, forced us into this career. Then we happily, embarked it. Alhamdulillah. We were just so blessed. I would never choose anything other than this in my life. Alhamdulillah. Like millions, billions of dollars cannot replace the joy, honestly, of just knowing the language of Quran and learning and talking about it. It's just so beautiful. So when children send gifts back for their parents when they pass away, and their grandparents, they receive them in their next life of barzakh. So Zuleikh, Harun's wife, sorry?
Zubaydah,
Harun Rashid's wife, she was banking on the Nahr Zubaydah, this river, miles, over 300 kilometers that she had dug for the people. And then she was being presented everything, and she kind of like almost everything she wasn't, it was a fail. She wasn't doing well. In her mind, she's like, I have one thing that I know if Allah brings this to, expose this to me, I'm going to make it a Jannah for sure. And then the discussion of the file of Nahr Zubaydah, it's called the Nahr of Zubaydah. Finally, the file of Nahr Zubaydah shows up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what did you do? She said, I dug this hundreds of kilometers in Iraq. And it was for people who travel for Hajj. It was literally in the middle of the desert. No water. People their animals, and they were starved to death. So I did this for the Hajj. Imagine if someone just one well, right? Allah gives them so much. Imagine a nahr, a river. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, where did you get the money from? She says, I used Baytul Mal. I used the money of the safe You know,
Yeah.
the money that's used for the
people's trust.
the public trust.
Yeah.
Right? And so she said, I used that. So Allah said, that wasn't even your money. I know you did something good, but that wasn't even your money. I mean, you did something good with it. So she was like, that one thing I was banking on, I failed. But the message I want to share with you, Mufti Sahib, that somebody.
And then what did Allah say to her? That why did she? And then the dreams goes on and says that. Then how did Allah give you? What did Allah forgive you for?
Yeah. That's what I'm getting there. You're taking my words away. You want to say this part? I'll let you say it.
Go ahead.
No, say it. I like it. Maybe you can say it better.
No, you say it, Bajan.
Okay. So Allah SWT says there was one time you were sitting before iftar or before for supper, and I imagine she was a pious woman. She would be fasting. So this was at Maghrib time at sunset, and she wanted some fish. Is this a story that you're talking about, right? She wanted some special type of fish. And so she sent a servant to the market to bring some fish in. And they find this fish in the market, and the fish is brought, is marinated, is fried, perfectly placed in front of her. And she's hungry. She hasn't eaten all day. And she's about to take a bite, right? Take a bite of the food. And she hears the adhan, al-maghfir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. She takes her scarf or a cloth and she covers her head. She covers her head. Out of respect for Allah's name, that Allah's name is being mentioned, I want my head to be covered. I want to show more respect and honor for God's name. Correct? Allah says that respect, the moment that you showed respect to my name, uske upar maine teri maghfirat kar li. Subhanallah. Over that, I have forgiven you.
The fact that she covered her head and she waited till the adhan finished.
Yes.
But that ties into the ayah in Surah Hajj, وَمَنْ يُعَذِّمْ شَاعِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ.
SubhanAllah. Like, but you ever see when you go to, it's amazing how something so small can get into paradise. It doesn't have to be something so massive, but we still continue to do the fundamental principles of Islam. But have you been to those events? They're like the aunties, the convertible dupattas. I call them convertible. No, so right when the MC comes up, and then they see people like you and me when we get up and we're gonna read some Quran or we're gonna start speaking.
But in those weddings we go to, you know?
And the aunties, they see the Maulvi Sahab, the Mufti Sahab show up right away. Choo, dupatta. What is Mufti Sahab? What's gonna happen when Malik al-Maut shows up? It's gonna be bad, man. But the reality is, of course, we should always be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is watching us all the time. You know, even the men and the women, we should always be careful. But something small, open the door for your relative, giving tea to your mother, things that you would never imagine, Allah will give you forgiveness for. Allah will give you Jannah for. So I wanted to share that with you. But Mufti Sahib, someone asked about what happened to the conversation of Musa, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can I speak 1 minute about that?
Go ahead. Yes, fine. Go ahead. 1
second, because someone in the chats asked about this, and I know that's a very interesting discussion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks Musa alayhi salam, Ma tilka bi yaminika ya Musa? What's in your hand? Allah knows what's in Moses' hand, and he says, Hiya asaya, this is my staff. He was a shepherd. He lived in Madian with Shu'aib alayhi salam at that time, right? He was grazing the animals there. At-tawakkul alayya, I rest on this. Wa hushu bi ala ghanimi, I graze my animals. Wa liya fiha ma'arib ukhra. But if you pay attention, and he have many more benefits. If you, Dr. Jawad, who is one of our friends in Flint, he told me something very interesting. He said, is that if you just follow the staff of Musa in the Quran, just follow the staff and you will see all this mysterious stuff happen from the staff of Musa. But interesting is Allah is just saying, what is this in your hand? You're supposed to say, this is my staff. That's the answer. If I ask you, Mufti Sahib, what's in your hand? You say, my teacup. That's it. I'm not asking you what's inside. I'm not asking you if this is Miftaah on it. What's that in your hand? So Musa alayhi salam expands the dialogue. Why? If you love someone, you just want to continue to talk to them. Similar to when people get engaged day and night, hello, chumma, chumma, right? Like you're so excited about that discussion. But what happens is when it's sad that today when we talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our prayers, right? Mufti Sahib, what is the way? Like the pious people say, if I want to talk to Allah, what do you do? If you want to talk to Allah, I pray. And if I want Allah to talk to me, what do?
Read the Quran.
Read the Quran. So why is it that when we وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَحْدَ إِثْمَ أَزَّتْ قُلُوبُ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ الَّذِينَ مِن دُونِهِ إِذَا هُمْ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. So let's also enjoy, like Moses enjoyed this conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's also enjoy it. So that was a long conversation. But you know what I love about Musa alayhi salam's story? You're gonna have to remember this, Mufti Sahib, because you're my younger brother, man. I'm gonna need you, man. I'm getting emotional. But you have to remember this part. One of the biggest favors a human has done for another human. What was that?
Musa alayhi salam vouching for his brother
Vouching for what?
to make him a prophet.
Yes. Imagine if you get into residency, right?
Okay.
Residency. You know, I want my beta to become doctor. You know, but say everybody wants their children to get. But imagine if you are in a good program or a good school and you vouch for me. Oh my God, I'm in debt to you. But imagine a prophet vouching for his brother to become a prophet. Harun akhi. Oh Allah, my brother Harun. Harun is older than Musa. So a younger brother vouched for an older brother. But I want to say something more profound to you, Musa, Mufti Saab. Mufti Saab, could Musa speak correctly?
No, he had luknat.
What is luknat in English? Tell us English, please.
I mean, this is stammer or stuttering when he speaks. Yeah.
He says that wahlul uqdatam
Milisani.
min. I want to say something very profound. Your turban is gonna fly off.
Oh,
right?
Let me hold it.
Okay. Who and Harun was Musa is saying himself. He said, Harun afsahu minni lisanan. Harun is what? More eloquent, more articulate. Afsahu minni lisanan. Send him with me. One of the reasons that Moses tells God that I want Harun with me, because he's eloquent. And I cannot express your message as clearly, as explicit like Harun could. Can you send Harun with me? But I want to ask you, Mufti Saab, Harun is more eloquent, but who is Kalim?
Musa alayhi salam. Ajib.
وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Right? Harun is more eloquent. Musa is the one that speaks to Allah. What does that tell you? You don't need to be eloquent to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't need to, you talked about this before. You don't need these flowery words. You don't need to have this long planned discussion. Just speak to him. He doesn't look at those eloquent words. Musa wasn't eloquent, but he was the only prophet that's considered to be Kalimullah, who spoke to Allah. So someone in the chat group asked for this, and I wish they did, and that was not part of the skit today. But back to you, Mufti Saab.
No, that's perfect. You mentioned that, but we only have a few minutes left, so
let's go. Let's go up to 10:10 today. I give you permission to cross.
But then the one thing that Dr. Jawad mentioned about that stick as well, like why did Allah ask him, "What do you have in your hand?" And this is very profound, man. This is so profound. And at that time, Musa alayhi salam, all he had in his possession was his stick. That's all he had. That's all he had, right?
Yeah.
So Allah said, "What do you have?" He said, "My stick." And wherever you mentioned this, like slightly, and you went over it. Everywhere that stick followed Musa.
Yeah.
The sea hit the rock. The rock opened. The water came out. It became a snake or a serpent. It was magical with Musa alayhi salam throughout his life.
Correct. All the way through, all the way to the destruction.
And so Mufassirin mentioned that when Allah asked Musa, "What do you have?" he presented all he had, and Allah showed him that if you just present to me whatever you have, that's all I need from you. What Allah needs from us is as much as we can give. And that's enough. Whether it's a stick, whether it's one sajda, whether it's 1 minute at night doing salah, whatever we can present, that's all Allah needs, because He can make that magical for us. He can make that miraculous for us.
Can we? You started off something so beautiful about presenting something to Allah on the Day of Judgment.
Yes.
And I want you to continue on that. But there, this ayah, I talked about this with some of my youth of Flint last night in the virtual qiyam. I talked about the concept, Mufti, you're going to be, again, this is stuff that's in the books.
I'm holding my turban.
Your turban's staying there. Your turban's not going anywhere. It's pretty tight. It's wrapped pretty well. But in the tafsir of in Surah Infitar, Ya ayyuhal insan ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem. O human, what has deceived you from a Lord that is so gracious? Meaning, He is so kind, but you're still disobeying Him. He's given you everything. Alam naj'al lahu aynayn wa lisanan wa shafat, everything. Right, Mufti Saab? But why are you still walking away from Him? So I want to tell you something that Fudail ibn Iyad rahimahullah said about this ayah. He said, if Allah asks me on the Day of Judgment, "Oh my servant, what deceived you from me when I gave you everything?" You know what Fudail is going to say? غَرَّنِي كَرَمُكَ يَا رَبْ.
Allah.
Oh Allah, your kindness spoiled me. Your grace, your mercy. You always giving me an opportunity to do whatever I want. You spoiled me, and I continue to do what I wanted to do. Subhanallah, what a way to look at this in the discussion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go back to the lahiyat al-qulub, Mufti Sahib.
No, that's it. But then that's so we put our wrap around that discussion of Musa alayhi salam.
We can't finish. Mufti, we have to do 10 more minutes. Honestly, there's Hajj is there. There's so much going on. Let's
so my final point about this preparation to stand in front of Allah. That all these things are mentioned. It's the fact that our elders, the Salaf al-Salihin of the past, they would do one powerful thing, and that kept them always in tune with that. They have to be ready to stand in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment, and that's what these two surahs are telling us. And what was that? But just imagine, these people were rewriting their wills on a daily basis. Imam Malik rahimahullah said there should be no believer who has not written his will or her will and has it under their pillow. Now, it's not because of the money of the will. Like, we're poor people. It's not because of that. It's because the power of the pen. That imagine you writing as a person who's already passed away. Imagine just that is a spiritual, journey in its own, man. You're writing like, dear son, dear father, this is this is that. Bhajan, when you do this, I honestly want our audience, just give it a shot. It's a very spiritual, uplifting thing to do, is speak as a person who already left this world. And then it will tell you whether you left in a good way or not. Because, it'll give you that idea. And that's why our Salaf al-Salihin, how they kept Allah in front of them and their hisab in front of them, they were not, Bhajan, these people, they were excited to meet Allah, man. They were waiting, man. They were prepared. It was not like, man, they were the Sahaba say, if it was okay for us to make dua for death, we would have made dua after the Prophet passed away to take us too. But they were told not to, so they had to wait their time. And then when Bilal was leaving this world, and people are saying, what a horrible day that Mu'adhin is leaving. And what is he saying, Bhajan? He's like, what a beautiful day, man. I'm finally leaving. I get to see the Prophet ﷺ. I get to see his companions. I get to go back to my homies, my friends, So the fact is, that's what kept them prepared. So my thing about that would be, every night, man, every week, figure out a time where you scale your deeds, you do your own muhasabah, so that we don't become among those who are not doing it. And Allah, the next ayah, Allah says, there are two reasons why people deviate from this. Lahiyatan qulubuhum. Allah is saying, like, we're seeing these reminders every single day, and different online and in live sessions after Ramadan finishes, inshallah, COVID-19 ends. But Allah says there's one person, if you have this one quality, you cannot benefit from any type of advice. It will just bounce off of your heart and go away. And that is lahiyatan qulubuhum. Lahiya in Arabic means someone who's physically present but mentally absent. I'm just giving you a simple, there's a whole discussion on lahu. But if you just take it by its literal meaning, is someone who's physically present somewhere but mentally not present. And of course, this generation has distracted. This generation has become professionals at this, of being distracted, of being, so what did the Prophet say about a person who's making dua? Allah doesn't accept, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I accept everyone who makes dua. Every time you raise your hand, Allah accepts your dua. But except for who, Bhajan?
ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. Supplicate in a manner that you are most certain that Allah will answer your call, your dua. ولا إن الله تعالى لا يستجيب الدعاء من قلب غافل لاهٍ. Allah SWT does not accept the supplicated dua of a mind of a person who's unmindful and unaware of what they're asking for.
Yeah, if their words are not synchronized with their heart. So
correct.
So you're making dua, but your mind and your heart are not there with your dua, then you should know that you rest that this hadith applies to you. If you want to know whether your dua was accepted or not, then if it's a 5-minute dua and your words were synchronized with your mind and your heart, Allah is accepting that dua.
Most definitely.
That's why when we sit down and listen to advice and everything, Allah mentions اقترب الناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. أعرض يعرض is physically ignoring something. When you turn. So Allah never make us among those.
So there's a physical, there's a physical ignoring, and there's also a mental ignoring.
Yeah, because the next part he says استمعوه وهم يلعبون. They're actually listening.
Wow.
They're there. They're listening. But while they're there, lahiyatan qulubuhum, their hearts are distracted somewhere else, right?
Well,
So that's that. But then, and the next Surah Al-Hajj is all about Hajj in Makkah.
I want to ask you advice. How do you make yourself? We talked about mindfulness and devotion yesterday. How do you become more aware of the next world? Like, we're in this world with all this. Like Imam Shafi says it right. إن لله عباد فطنا طلقوا الدنيا وخافوا الفتن نظروا فيها فلما علموا أنها ليست لحية وطنا جعلوها لدة واتخذوا صالح الأعمال يسفنا. How can we balance with the world, with our family, children?
It's all about the heart, man. Your heart has to be there. Should I say Allama Iqbal poem about this? Oh my God, he kills.
Mufti Sahib, you have to say it.
He says, तमन्ना दर्द दिल की हो तो कर खिदमत फकीरों की नहीं मिलता ये गौहर बादशाहों के खजीनों में.
Allah, वाह वाह वाह.
तमन्ना दर्द दिल की हो तो खिदमत कर फकीरों की नहीं मिलता ये गौहर बादशाहों के खजीनों में.
Rashad,
If you want to have this heart that's present, that is in awe of Allah, that every time you hear His words, you get tantalized in your words, but then you get mesmerized. Then he says, then spend time with the poor people, spend time with people that are needy. Just be with them, khidmat, not just give them money. Spend time with them, spend time with people that need, those who have nobody, yatama, orphans, people who need. And then he says, nahi milta gohar ye gohar. This is a gohar. You know what gohar is? Like, this is a treasure. This treasure you're not going to find staying in your comfort zone, staying in your bedroom, listening to lectures, staying in your own place where you're not getting, or you're staying with your own company. No. You're not going to get that there. You got to step down from your pedestal and serve people. Get on your knees and serve people. Once you do that, then you will get this. That's what Allama Iqbal says with this poem, man. Honestly, so deep.
I know we're going to Hajj this year. I have so much to say with this up. There's one ayah in the Quran, the surah. So the surah starts off a little scary, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The day of judgment and the reckoning is very close. But how does the surah end, Mufti Sahib? If you, of course, and the thing is, right? People don't read cover to cover books. They read at the beginning to go to, but you have to read the whole thing to get the whole, feeling of it, enjoying it. So Allah talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam's story and stuff, and the prophets are mentioned, Dawood, and you said 17 prophets, correct? Did you say?
Yeah.
17 prophets. But then in the end, there's one prophet he's spoken about, and not only is he spoken about, there's one special element of his trait that's spoken about. And I love this ayah, and that is, which ayah, Mufti Sahib?
Go for it.
وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. I love when the people in Pakistan, India read it like that. It just sounds different.
Do it again.
Well, I'm not going to do it again. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Mufti Sahib, Allah sent the Prophet. So there is this form of threat in the beginning, but there's a conclusion of God's Prophet's mercy and His mercy to universe. And we're going to go to Hajj for a second, but I want to say this. Jibreel alayhi salam, this is Allah sent the Prophet as a mercy to mankind. Jibreel asked the Prophet sallam, the Prophet sallam asked Jibreel, oh Jibreel, did you benefit from me being a mercy to the universe? Not only to the earth, but to the universe.
Yeah.
Jibreel said, yes. Before you came and before revelation came to you, I was always fearing my fate in the next world. But Allah SWT mentioned me in the Quran, ذِي قُوَّةٍ عِنْدَ ذِي الْعَرْشِ مَكِينٍ مُطَاعٍ ثَمَّ أَمِينٍ. When Allah praised me in Surah Taqweer, I realized that I'm worthy of praise and Allah will not punish me. So your existence and your mercy has also benefited me, who is Jibreel, this massive angel. But Mufti Sahib, I know the audience wants to hear something about Hajj. What is your expression and feeling that this year, right now, when you look at the Makkatul Mukarramah and the tiles empty, people standing apart and doing COVID-19, how is it? I know so many years in the past, multiple times, Hajj has been suspended. But what is it going to happen this year? That you go for Hajj every year, I go for Hajj every year, alhamdulillah, we go for Umrah. We're going to miss it this year, most likely.
In the moment, when you said it, my heart started beating in a different way, honestly. Like, wallahi, man, we have such attachment to Makkah and Medina that, it's so unfortunate we're deprived. Allah is not giving. One of my du'as, honestly, is that, oh Allah, let me not die until we go back to Makkah and Medina at least once more. At least, man, we got to get there again. And it is hard because Makkah is empty, and that's our solace, that's our sanctuary.
I know that there's a Urdu poetry about Kaaba, and I know you have a good voice, and I refuse to end this session without having you recite this poetry.
No.
And I refuse to conclude the session. It's in Urdu. I know you know this line. I've heard it from you before, and you do it. I hear you doing privately in your blanket and stuff like that. Sometimes, you don't let anyone hear you. But can you please? This poem that you recite reminds you of the first view of the Kaaba. If we can get the audience that's on Facebook and YouTube to all say, please, Mufti Saab, please recite this. If they all join me, and we'll have multiple people request from me. I know. So we're getting Irshad, Wahwa.
No, please, but we'll do it tomorrow. Forget it, man.
Please, I told you I refuse to conclude, Mufti Saab. I just refuse.
All right, okay. So basically, it's like, what is your feeling when you first see the Kaaba? It's you can't explain it. You can't put it to words. So this poet, he puts it into words. He says, Kaabe ki raunak, Kaabe ka manzar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, देखूं तो देखे जाऊं बराबर, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, कतरे को जैसे समंदर समेटे, मुझको मताफ अपने अंदर समेटे, मुझको मताफ अपने अंदर समेटे, जैसे समेटे आगोश मादर, अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर। याद आ गई जब अपनी खताएं, अश्कों में ढलने लगी इल्तिजाएं, रोया गिलाफे काबा पकड़ कर, रोया गिलाफे काबा पकड़ कर, अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर, काबे की रौनक, काबे का मंजर, अल्लाहु अकबर, अल्लाहु अकबर।
Mufti Saab, I'm speechless.
Come on,
I'm speechless. Very rarely in my life am I ever speechless, Mufti Saab. You definitely affected me there, and that is the tafsir of Surah Hajj. Can you summarize that, please?
He's just basically saying that when I see the Kaaba, I can't explain what happens to me. And he says, first this one line just said right now about when I remember my sins, when I'm in front of the Kaaba, I start crying and crying, and when I cry, I hold the Kaaba's ghilaf and I beg Allah for forgiveness.
What's the ghilaf? Can you tell us what's the ghilaf?
The curtain of the Kaaba. I grab it and I beg Allah for forgiveness. And then he says that I start doing tawaf of the Kaaba. It's like my sanctuary, my protection. I huddle in there and I start rounding the tawaf, the Kaaba, like how a baby is huddled and cradled in his mother's arm, and how the mother will never let the child go through any difficulty and make sure the child is protected like that. When I'm around the Kaaba, I feel like I'm protected, like I'm in my mother's arms. It's this beautiful poem and beautiful written. So, that's all it is.
Look this up. I put you on the spot to recite it, and I know you don't like to express.
I don't like reciting poems, man. And
but guys, if you guys didn't know, the Mufti Saab is a jack of all trades, mashallah, very talented young man. May Allah bless you, Mufti Saab. Thank you for breaking your principle and singing and reciting that in public. May Allah SWT take us to Makkah, Medina over and over. May Allah SWT resurrect us with the man who is resting in Medina, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين.
جزاك الله خير. السلام عليكم.
الله وبركاته.